Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review, we are looking at the Saint Seiya Omega Sagittarius Seiya. This is a franchise I'm really not familiar with, fictionally speaking, so I can't speak to the likeness. I have seen some images and it looks pretty much like I thought it should look, but you guys know better than I do if you're familiar with the show. I can talk about the figure though in terms of quality and design, so that's what we're going to do. This guy's a fantastic looking figure. As you can see, there's lots of shiny stuff, and you guys know I like shiny stuff. Most of it is die cast, which is cool because it's armor and it's die cast, and so metal armor makes sense. However, it makes him really heavy, and so that becomes a problem. It's also a problem when you put the display box too close to the stand and he bumps it with his arrow. But it's a cool figure. It's got some nice accessories, and it's going to make for a really nice display piece. I say that specifically because it's not going to be that good for that much else. Let's get him off the stand, and we can talk about that in a little bit more detail. This guy stands roughly, let's get it in this way, about 18 centimeters high, which makes him just under 7 inches, right around there. And like I said, it's a really cool looking figure. We have all of this nice chrome gold on there. It looks really, really cool. And we have inside those chrome gold parts this kind of brazed lesser gold, duller gold mixed in. It's kind of hard to notice probably on camera, but in person, all of these little S shapes and detailed parts, and around the legs down here we even have some. It's a different color, so it looks really, really cool. And the plastic parts that are mixed in with the die-cast parts, like for instance, the knee pad area, that's all plastic, whereas the whole boot itself is die-cast. You can't tell. It all looks really good. It works really well together, so bonus points for that. This guy is fantastic looking. Unfortunately, that's kind of where it stops. Because all of this armor is die-cast, it's almost impossible to pose him. As you can see, the leg just flops back down into place. If it gets moved at all, it'll flop, which means if you put any weight on it at all, it'll flop. It's not as bad out to the side, but it's not great. As you can see, it doesn't work. And when you stand him up, the legs just want to split because he's so heavy. So it's kind of a problem. He's a really cool looking figure, but posing is not going to be that great for him. Also, he's a pain in the butt. The things don't want to stay in place a lot of the time. The parts on the thighs here and on the biceps, it's similar. They just kind of slide into place. So if you're posing him, it's possible. Now it doesn't want to because I wedged it on there really tight before the video. There, on that one, these guys just want to pop off a lot. And it's really difficult because you have to take the feet off to get this on and this on. So as you're trying to get the feet back on, this is sliding around and this is trying to not go on. It's really a pain in the butt. It does pay off because he looks fantastic once he's done, but it's really tricky. Especially for the arms. It's even worse because you have to do the same thing for the gauntlets and for the bicep to get or you have to take the hand off, then put it back on. It's impossible to get the hand back on without spending a bunch of time trying to get it to work. It does pay off because it looks sweet, as you can tell. It looks so cool. Super metallic. And it has wings and an arrow and all that good stuff. So I do like it. That piece just came loose again down here. Alright, so let's look at the accessories because he kind of has a bunch of accessories because all of this comes off. It's just, you see the red underneath the armor? It's just that on the main figure. He's wearing like a red unitard with no sleeves and golden boots. The figure does not come with any of this stuff on. You have to put it all on him yourself other than the golden boots. So that's all technically an accessory. You can already see also we have this really cool bow which separates to get it into his hand, and we have this nice arrow to go with it. So that's an accessory. But let's set him aside. Hopefully he doesn't fall over. And look at the other accessories. We get this thing, which I don't know the franchise at all, but it's a glowing horseman, which is a centaur, right? I think so. It looks like it's supposed to be glowing. Maybe it's not, but it's translucent yellow. And it's not meant to be posed other than at the waist. You can swivel it around. He does fall apart fairly easily. If I dropped it right now, all of the limbs would come off. This would come off, both of these, both of the arms, and probably the head. So be careful with that. But the cool thing about this is that all of the armor that's on the figure now can go on here. And it's really nice looking. I'll show you in the photos at the end. I'm not going to do it on camera because this video would be 40 minutes long, but it's cool that you can do that. And he can hold the accessory, and it's a nice accessory. All right, we also get an alternate face. This face right here on him is just a kind of a standard looking face. Hopefully you can see that through his hair. And then we have one where the eyes are closed. So we have those options. You can see that the hair is kind of going around the crown there. That's because it's a separate headpiece. And the crown, you don't always necessarily want it with the hair, so you can separate that. Or you can put the hairpiece on that doesn't hold the crown at all. So that's kind of a good touch. You can see he's got these hands here, which are made specifically for holding the arrow and holding the bow. So that's a nice touch. Then we also get armored. I'm just going to keep holding the figure because I don't want to set him down and see if he falls. He also has the style pose hands for either side for the armor. You have to put the pads on yourself. You see that pad that's missing? You just have to pop that on, so no big deal. So we have the style pose hands, and we have your generic fist hands, because we need those, one for either side. And we have the unarmored fist hands, which are for when you take all of the armor off, obviously. So it's a nice touch. I mean, he's got all of the accessories you would want him to have. And like I said, it's really problematic posing this guy, so I'm not going to mess with it too much other than to show you what kind of posability the armor has. The figure itself has all of the standard figure arts articulation. We have the, I'll just talk about it rather than show you because it's like I said, it's a total pain in the butt and things are going to fall off. So we have a ball hinge for the head. It lets the head move around. In fact, you know, it might be a ball peg. I don't remember anymore, but you can see good range of motion all the way around, so it doesn't really matter. The neck is on a ball peg. Also, the shoulders have a ball peg connecting the arm to the torso, so it'll move all the way around. Then we have the ball hinge itself for the shoulder. We have a bicep swivel, a double jointed elbow, and then a ball hinge for the wrist. The shoulder pad has a hinge that lets the entire thing move, and then it has a second hinge that lets this inner piece move. It doesn't move a lot, but it is in there. Technically, he has a ball peg for the torso, but once his armor's on, you can't really do much with it, so that's an issue. The crotch piece has a hinge on it, and both of these guys have hinges on them. The legs have the Kamen Rider style articulation, which is kind of similar, if you're not familiar with the Kamen Rider line, kind of similar to the new Goku's articulation, the Awakening Goku, in that it lets the legs swivel forward and back, and then down here has the hinge going side to side. We have a double jointed knee, which gives him really good range of motion. And then the ankle. I can show you the ankle because it's not that hard to pop it off. Hopefully I can do it on camera. There we go. Don't worry about this silver part because it doesn't really matter. That's just how it holds together. And I will show you the wings in a second. The ankle itself is a nice design because we have the hinge that brings it forward and back, so that's really good. And then we also have a true ankle rocker, which is really nice. And then, of course, since it just pegs in, you can rotate it around. And we have a toe hinge, which is kind of big and excessive, but it's stiff enough that it'll actually hold the figure, so it's pretty good. Let me put this back in and see what happens. When you try to put things back in, everything falls apart. So, good thing to show you guys that. And the wing popped off, so I can show you how the wings work. They just peg in with that little peg into this socket back here. And then that, of course, lets it swivel. It does like to pop back out. And we have a little bit of a hinge in there. So, as you can see, it's a really big pain in the butt. And this leg's trying to come off too, it looks like. Really big pain in the butt to keep this guy together. Luckily, let me set him back down. When he does pop off like this, and the knee pad comes off, it does generally go back together. Even though this is a plastic piece, you can peg that back in. And usually you can peg this back in. So it doesn't break, luckily, but it does fall apart. So it's a problem, but it's one that you can live with if you really want the figure and you're willing to deal with it. So I do recommend it. It's really cool, but it's got so many frustrations that you need to be aware of them at least ahead of time. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.